We got company. Hang on!
Hi everyone and welcome to Priority Holder, and today we'll be playing Mono Red Extinction Bombardment in the Explorer format. Now this is just a glorious, ridiculous deck. I love it so much, and the star of the deck is this card, Star of Extinction. And it destroys a land, it deals 20 to each creature and each planeswalker. So the whole goal of the deck is to not only cast this, but actually loop it frequently with Arcane Bombardment. Now this is an enchantment that whenever we cast our first instant or sorcery spell each turn, we get to exile a random instant or sorcery under Arcane Bombardment and then cast the whole stack that's been exiled thus far. So it really snowballs once you have a lot of stuff going on. The problem is both these cards are super expensive, and so the secret sauce we have is Irencrag Feat. This is a 4-mana ritual that gets us up to 7 mana and imposes a condition on us, but we can work around that a lot of times. And so, but you maybe ask yourself, how do we actually win the game? Well, we win the game either with our creature lands, by looping burn spells under Arcane Bombardment, or by just demoralizing our opponent. And the whole rest of the deck is set up to enable that plan. Now I also want to shout out Cleansing Wildfire. This can sort of aid in the land destruction path, but more often than not, we'll be pointing at our own indestructible lands to turn this into a ramp spell. Another important piece of the puzzle is Igneous Inspiration. It deals 3 damage to any target, so it's an inefficient burn, but it gives us access to a bunch of lessons. So essentially draws us a spell every time we cast it, which is important because Arcane Bombardment is only triggered by casting spells, and we can easily empty the sideboard once it starts looping under there. The last one I want to mention is Burn Down the House. This is a great card that gives us a little bit extra wraths, but also plays offense and defense. So when it's looping into Arcane Bombardment, we're just making doubles most of the time. Anyway, let's see some nonsense in action and jump into some games. Okay, so this looks like a pretty good hand. A little slow, but we'll see if we have enough time to do anything. Planes from the opponent, second planes, Bishop of Wings. We're playing against Angels, and they're sort of my nemesis in the Explorer format. Angels is very good at executing its game plan and destroying the nonsense I try to play. Fortunately, this deck has already been through the Refiner's Fire fighting Angel decks, so let's hope we're geared up to be able to give them some trouble. Now, Giada can make the Angels grow obnoxiously large, so we don't want them outgrowing Burn Down the House, so we're ensuring the turn 3 treasure generation to make sure we could do a turn 4 Burn Down the House. Okay, Speaker of the Heavens. Come on, play something else. Bishop of Wings, alright. So this is good. This could be a juicy Burn Down the House. We're going to take a little hit here. And definitely going to cash that in because Giada can make things go out of control. We're burning the house down, and it just feels great. There is the issue that Bishop Wings gives them 2 Constellation Spirits. Okay, Youthful Valkyrie. Thankfully, no follow-up. So it allows us to use Igneous Inspiration because Youthful Valkyrie can grow obnoxiously large as well. So we're just trying to survive as we keep developing. Question is which lesson to get. I end up getting Start from Scratch. It seems like the spare 1 damage, it could cut down a spirit, might be useful. That was my rationale. Kayla's Reconstruction. This is my first time playing against this card, but it's basically like White's version of Collected Company, and it seems insanely strong in this build. So basically eschewing green for Company to use Kayla's Reconstruction. And it seems really strong to me. In fact, I want to start playing it. Now, thankfully, we have 6 mana, so we're going to use the combination of Igneous Inspiration and our other lesson to cut down Righteous Valkyrie. That one's just a major problem. Like, it's super strong in their deck. And with the lesson for that iteration, we get Mascot Exhibition. So we're feeling pretty great, but the opponent has another Kayla's Reconstruction. So they get a Veteran and they get Resplendent Angel. And so we're sweating a little bit because, opponent almost has enough mana to activate Resplendent Angel and then start creating a bunch of Angel tokens. So Instead of spewing off Mascot Exhibition, which our flyer off it would only be able to chump, I go for double Fable here to really try and turbo through our deck for the next Wrath, because already the opponent's going wild. And yes, there's land number 6. Their Angel turns into a 5/5 life linker, and they are going to gain the requisite 4 life to create a 4/4 flying angel for free. We fought a 3 life, so here comes their free angel. Opponent is just going wild over there. And okay, so it turns out we don't need the Fable, so we luck out and get a star off the top. I actually agonized over this for a while, but decided we could pitch the lands. We have enough to basically cast all we want. And wow, look at that Arcane Bombardment, beautiful. So before we fire off the Wrath, we're gonna cash in, get some damage, get some treasure tokens. An opponent is, feels like they're in the driver's seat. They just take the damage. We're gonna whammy them though. Here's the first Star of Extinction. Isn't it glorious? So we're gonna blow up a plains and nuke everything for 20. It's just an amazing feeling. So that's like a sigh of relief. Okay, we've rafted away 2 of their boards. Opponent gets the creature from the graveyard and another Righteous Valkyrie. And turns out they're at the requisite 7 life above their life total, so they have the double Anthem effect off Righteous Valkyrie. Now the game gets a little wonky, so I just cut it out at this point. So it's just commentary for the rest of this game right here. Our Fables both flip, and the question is, what do we do? Mascot Exhibition will only give us 1 flyer. Either of them will kill us at the moment. So I'm checking out the graveyard to see if, a hypothetical Arcane Bombardment into Play with Fire, what would happen. We have 2 Wraths and a bunch of other junk. And decide that I'm realizing now that there's maybe an additional play of burning them with Play with Fire to to temporarily turn off the double Anthem effect. I end up just YOLOing right here, shooting Play with Fire at the Valkyrie, and we burn down the house. So the bigger brain play would have been to Play with Fire their life total to deactivate Righteous Valkyrie and get the scry value. But now we're firmly in the driver's seat. Sky Conversion can't even grab anything. We rip another Star of Extinction, so we're just going to be going wild right now. It feels good to blow up a Nick though, so it's very cathartic, and opponent's seen enough. If you're enjoying what you're watching, please nomad decoy that like button. Helps you know what the people want. And smash that subscribe button for more nonsense. Thank you so much. On to the next one. Here we go. Alright, so let's see what we have going on. Okay, Ramunap Ruins from the opponent indicates mono red. We play our tap land, leave Play with Fire up. We just need to survive the early assault from mono red. Viashino Pyromancer. This is a card that I just love. This is from like the Arena days of yore. I played this in my pre-con when I first started Arena, like 2018. So mad respect for Viashino Pyromancer, but we cannot let it live because it'll kill us. Let's see what their follow-up. Another Pyromancer. So they're attacking our life total already, and they miss a land drop, and they're taking damage off their own lands. They don't care about that damage though. We're gonna fire Igneous Inspiration once again. We're just trying to trim down their threats. Argument for start with scratch. End up grabbing Illuminate History, just because eventually it'll be able to filter for us and create a blocker. Another Ramunap for them. They have Runaway Steamkin, a very strong card from the old school Arena days. Definitely respect it. We're gonna fire Valakut Awakening. Cleansing Wildfire is not doing anything right now. And we're gonna put a land away also. So this is gonna turn into a draw 3. And it's a lot of mountains. So that's making me feel a lot better about my Illuminate History choice, because we can pitch some of those mountains to really try and dig for something. Okay, Steamkin number 2. I respect the Steamkin to be scared of them. So I'm going to fire off Cathartic Pyre right here just to cut it down. They can just go too wild. Alright, opponent passes to us. We're feeling pretty good. We've been able to just sort of 1-for-1 each of their creatures. They haven't dealt a ton of damage to us. I don't think I have enough cards in the graveyard to activate Illuminate History's creature, so I think that's why I'm using seize the spoils here. We draw another Igneous Inspiration. And now we're right at Mascot Exhibition mana, so we're feeling pretty good. That's gonna be hard for mono red to deal with, you know, 3 creatures off 1 spell. Opponent shocks us end of turn. Dreadhorde Arcanist, so that's why they fired off to shock, is to preemptively get it in the graveyard. Arcanist is a bit tough because now all of our deal 3 removal's gone, but Mascot Exhibition should do some good work here. So let's see what the opponent does. Alright, Wizard's Lightning cuts down our 3/2. That's another reason the Pyromancers are in there, is to discount Wizard's Lightning. Alright, so Wizard's Lightning pre-attack means that Dreadhorde's little flashback attack is going to shock our 4/4 and finish it off. So that's unfortunate. So they're able to get through our creatures, no problem. We're going to chump block here. That way we can second main phase play with fire and kill Dreadhorde. However, opponent has another one, so that could be a problem. Dreadhordes can shell out a lot of damage by themselves. They don't synergize with Wizard Lightning from the graveyard though, but hello, Arcane Bombardment. Heck yes, here we go. We just need to survive a few more turns, then we'll be going wild. So opponents run out of things to flashback. Light up the stage. Alright, they get a land, finally. Electrostatic Infantry, and they have a Play with Fire backup. We draw our Play with Fire. So now we fire off Illuminate History, mostly just to see what we get off Arcane Bombardment. Igneous Inspiration, great hit right there. Decide to hit Dreadhorde Arcanist. We get another thing. I think Environmental Science, just getting some life gain to have a cheap spell. Oh, I guess, yeah, okay, I guess I choose Introduction to Annihilation just to keep threats off the battlefield, but it's looking bleak for the opponent at this point. We have a live Arcane Bombardment, and our life total is just not under threat by them. So opponent fires off end of turn Play with Fire, but that allows us to snipe their creature before it receives its counter off the trigger, so it's looking very bleak for the opponent at the moment. So opponent's thinking, another light up the stage, try and get some more. Okay, so get another Arcanist, but have a tap land. And Cleansing Wildfire is amazing because that gives us something to fire off to set off Arcane Bombardment again. We get Cathartic Pyre and Igneous Inspiration, so put them both on the stack. Inspiration's gonna, as we keep looping, it's gonna kill them pretty quickly. And let's see, you can see how strong it is in this deck, basically drawing us a spell every time just to keep the spells flowing for Arcane Bombardment. It burned down the house, so yeah, we're on cruise control now. We just gotta finish them off. And decide to just try and close the game out. Play it on Devil mode just to attack them. And I celebrate through this part because opponent's probably just playing spells for their quests. You know, they know they can't kill us, and yeah, that's it. On to the next one. Mountain, so it could be another mono-red matchup. Happy to have a turn 1 Play with Fire for their turn 2 play, potentially. Runaway Steamkin. A lot of old school mono-red flying around today. Actually, I'm not sure, man, I've seen a lot of versions of mono-red, so I think there's a lot of different interpretations on it. But we have sort of red's growth spiral right here. Cleansing Wildfire on an indestructible land. Land into play, draw a card, no big deal. That feels great because, so now that we like confirmed we're against mono red, we've been able to ramp, and now Seize with Spoils is going to ensure that we can fire off Burn Down the House next turn. Question is what to discard. Cathartic Pyre seems not super useful with all these rafts in hand, and yeah, there's some extra lands locked in to being able to burn down the house next turn. So we're hoping the opponent just empties their hand. I mean, that's their game plan anyway. The opponent sends in. We want him just to keep playing stuff. Alright, Steamkin. We've just been massacring Steamkins this video. Alright, so you play another mountain and burn down the house. Take down everything. And we were feeling pretty comfortable because next turn we could already fire off a Star of Extinction if we need to, but opponent's already seen enough. We've done enough damage to them, so on to the next one. Let's see if we see another turn 1 mountain. And it's the exact opposite end of the spectrum. It's a turn 1 Hallowed Fountain. Now this is a really tough matchup for this deck. We are fairly threat light. The opponent has the counter for Fable. We have some Fables, and we're hoping to just go wild with Arcane Bombardment. So realistically, there's not that many cards they have to worry about, which means they can save all their answers for the few threats that we have. So this is just an insanely tough matchup. What we need is for them to just like go shields down at some point for us to like ritual out an Arcane Bombardment and get it past their counters. That is the only hope. So for example, this would be pretty great right here if we had an Arcane Bombardment, because it's a shields down moment for them. So they take this turn to play Narset. They grab their counter. So right now, Irencrag feat into Arcane Bombardment would be incredible. Best we can do is Irencrag feat into Star of Extinction, which is going to nuke one of their lands and nuke Narset as well. It feels more like just a moral victory at this point because we have them under no pressure and we know they're just camping on counter spells. Now the tough thing, so at this point, you know, we know they have an active counter spell, so we're just going to try and pressure them on the board. This is the power of Den of the Bugbear. So Den survives and play a backup Den, but opponent, we just haven't pressured them enough so they can sort of comfortably draw cards, set up their hand, and yeah, portable hole. So they're just mitigating the damage they can take. They know they got any threats from us covered. Search for Escanta. So it's already looking grim for us. Like I said, it's very tough to win in this matchup. And even if we do slam an Arcane Bombardment, they have March of Otherworldly Light, and they don't even need to wait till they get to So they don't even need to wait till they get to 7 mana to march down an Arcane Bombardment, because they can just pitch some white cards to it. So this is a horrific matchup. Control is very strong these days against sort of threat light strategies. So opponent flips Search, and it's basically game over right here. Like, here comes Teferi. Like, we can mess with Teferi a little bit, but opponent has flipped Search for Escanta, so means the ability to just keep the cards flowing. We know they are able to just camp out in their counters, because not a lot of what we play actually matters. We do sneak a play with fire through right here that's going to allow our Den to attack Teferi down. But opponent honestly doesn't really care that much, because they have active Search for Escanta, or I forget what the back half's called, but they have it activated and ready to go. So this is it's an insanely uphill battle. I'm just hoping maybe they don't have a march to take care of Den, you know, we might be able to get there that way. So opponent uses Search. And Wandering Emperor, yeah, that can take care of Den. So you could see me move to accelerated speed here. I hang in for a while, hoping to maybe exhaust their counter spells at some point and sneak an Arcane Bombardment in, but now we can't even attack them with our creature lands because of Wandering Emperor. And so I really moved to accelerated speed here because I basically hang in for way too long. I should have conceded right now, because with how much card draw they have, card selection, the game was definitely over. So you could sort of see how it played out. This was a long agonizing loss, and I couldn't even get the moral victory of killing Wandering Emperor at the end. So we pack it in, on to the next game. Another way to deal with control would be to have a few uncounterable things to ritual out, but the ones that I've found are just not really on plan with this deck, so it's sort of almost just like a conceded loss a lot of times. But Bitter Reunion from the opponent, a card I don't think I've even seen played before. It's an enchantment that lets you discard a card to draw to, so it's sort of like a Tormenting Voice. But we see Ox of Agonis hit the graveyard, so opponents must be on the heavy self-mill plan. And noticing that, we decided to do play with fire just to get the scry right here. Okay, we have our indestructible land if we can ever find the right spells. Alright, Fable, we are able to play that. Maybe get some mana generation. Ledger Shredder from the opponent. It's at this point I'm suspecting it's a Phoenix deck, but we haven't actually seen, you know, any Phoenixes. Ledger Shredder is such a strong card. I love that card. The opponent strangles our little token. Trying to decide what to pitch. It seems like play with fire won't do like anything in this matchup, so we're able to just trash it right here. And wow, look at that. We find Irencrag feet. So seems like a pretty good time to fire it off. We might be able to starve them of blue mana right now. So we fire off Star of Extinction. The unfortunate thing is that we are going to trigger Ledger Shredder. So they might be able to like fish for an island here. So, but we're hoping to choke them of blue mana. No, but they have blue mana. So, but being able to stifle their development is pretty nice. We're able to flip our Fable. Seize the spoils. This is a blue deck that basically doesn't run counters, so we're not super worried about that. They don't even have blue mana open anyway, so burn down the house could be pretty nice. So we're happy to see that. Chart a course. Alright, so they find another removal spell. So we're each just trying, so they're trying to stock their graveyard. We're trying to get Arcane Bombardment, and wow, that was an amazing draw. This is what we need to start closing the game because we're giving them a lot of setup time. And one thing about that enchantment they have is that they could sack it for 1 mana to give all their creatures haste until end of turn, which makes that Ox of Agonis basically like a 3 mana 5 power haster. Plus, if they even get more of them in, they might be able to get multiple in a turn. So that's something we have to be conscious of as the game develops. But we're able to untap with Arcane Bombardment. I'm sort of looking to see what we have. I'm hoping to hit like a burn spell. So we fire off Burn Down the House on Devil Making mode. We want to see what we get, and it's Irencrag feet. So at first I was very disappointed, but then I realized that was actually possibly the strongest hit because that allows us to play Fable as our 1 extra spell and have exactly enough mana to pour into Den of the Bugbear right now. So we're able to animate that and just smash your opponent for a ton of damage right here. So we're putting them to the test. They already fall to 11, and you know we have Arcane Bombardment at the ready. So opponent fires off Finale Promise. Not probably their strongest Finale Promise. Yeah, because at this point that's their first Phoenix they've been able to discard. So they will get 1 Phoenix back. Opponent's desperately trying to find more Phoenixes. So, however, they're so behind they can't even attack us with it. Hello, Star of Extinction. Yeah. We have so many creatures that actually decide just to discard it there. We want a spell to trigger Arcane Bombardment, and that just didn't seem like the right one with us being so ahead on board. So that was the reason. This time we pick up Burn Down the House. So it's always best to put Irencrag feet on the stack first because you want it resolving last. You don't want it to lock you out of future spells. So we get our devils, we get our mana. There is an argument for just firing off Cleansing Wildfire right now just to see if we get like a burn spell. I think that probably would have been wise to see if we get like a shock variant to kill the Phoenix and just have lethal right here. As it stands, we knock them to 1. So, yeah, I'm thinking about the Cleansing Wildfire. I think it would have been better to use the rest of the ritual mana, though we would have. Yeah, it's hard to say, but opponent dumps another Phoenix, so like we have left ourselves a little exposed. We'll see if they can get even more Phoenixes or more Oxes in the graveyard. Another consider. And it's looking, the more that's being played, the more it seems like we'll be alright. So Ox comes into play. And they jump another Phoenix. So now they can move, yeah, so there's Bitter Reunion's activation. The opponent is not going to have quite enough. They get 3 Phoenixes and an Ox. So they're going to take a chunk out of our life. But it is not good enough, and we win. Alright, so that's Mono Red Extinction Bombardment, and wow, that was fun, and we did really well. Went 4-1 across those games, and I mean, this deck's amazing. It's just ridiculous. We destroyed a lot of lands, and I mean, that's pure magic right there. Yeah, there's still probably some refinement that can happen in this deck. Maybe add another one, indestructible land. At that point, I don't know if we're choking out too many of our red sources, though, so it would take some more testing. As far as the poor matchups, graveyard recursion decks, things that have a lot of stuff coming out of the graveyard can be tricky, and control can be really tricky. So some other things to consider are like graveyard hate cards. This is not great because it's just not on plan with the deck. It's not a spell. Might be able to splash like a spell version of this effect off treasures. Anger could be good for the creature matchups. We could even rock like Lay Down into the Void. We have a lot of ways to pitch dead cards, so that's a consideration. Like that would not be a problem in this deck. Control, we would need something like Chandra, Awakened Inferno to get past their counters and stack some emblems on them. It's not quite on theme, and I think it'd be sort of diluting the main power of the deck. She would also get annihilated by Star of Extinction. Another way to fight control is Banefire, but this is a useless one to exile with the Arcane Bombardment, so it might be destroying the plan too much. A card I had in older versions of this deck was Crawling Barrens. It was just a way to profitably use excess Irencrag feat mana, but I found it was just not super necessary. Sort of disappeared when I added the Cleansing Wildfire plan. I needed a lot of utility land slots, so those are just other thoughts. But yeah, let me know in the comments, what are your favorite land destruction cards? Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day.